Lee said that while he's received letters of commendation from people all over the country, he does not consider himself a celebrity.
I think his credibility is based on one thing. When he tells you something, it's the truth.
It's my distinct honor, on behalf of the Student Commencement Speaker Committee, to invite Dr. Henry Lee to deliver the 2013 Commencement Address.
Famed forensic scientist and Connecticut's best-known criminalist is frequently honored for his crime-solving abilities and testimony in criminal cases.
Appear to be 4 patterns.
All of those cases, like history repeat.
He will call it as he sees it.
In honor of his service, both to the state, to the country, really.
Appearing on some of the world's biggest stages when it comes to famous murder mysteries and accusations. Some of those big cases include the wood chipper murder, JonBenet Ramsey, O.J. Simpson. His forensics often help send people to prison or save them from a life behind bars. By Dr. Lee's own admission, he comes from humble beginnings. 1965, Lee comes to the U.S. from Taiwan.
I went to the police college because police college is tuition free. That's how I choose the law enforcement as my career, not because I really like law enforcement. That's a way with the poor family, the kids can have a career. So I quickly rose the rank to captain, the youngest police captain.
22, right?
22 years old. So 1975, got my doctorate degree in molecular biology. So Henry Lee became a Dr. Lee. I joined University of New Haven, become a Professor Lee. 1978, Governor Grasso asked me to be the first chief criminalist and the laboratory director for forensic lab. So I become a Chief Lee or Director Lee.
1986, a murder case in Newtown, Connecticut, puts Dr. Henry Lee on the map. He investigates the mysterious case of a missing woman, Hella Crafts, a married flight attendant and mother of 3. Investigators suspect her husband Richard Crafts, but there was one big problem.
We didn't have a body. No case in Connecticut had ever been prosecuted for murder without a victim as such, a whole victim.
A chainsaw is discovered in Lake Zor in Newtown, Connecticut, but there is still no body.
The most fundamental thing in a murder trial was not present in the trial of Richard Crafts.
That sounds like just about as big an uphill battle as you could imagine.
It was indeed. It was a challenge.
A witness sees a person with a wood chipper near Lake Zor around the time of Hella Crafts' disappearance. A forensics team led by Dr. Lee searches the woods and finds remains in and around the lake. Investigators find a tooth with dental work, a toenail, bone chips, bleached blonde hair, and O-type blood matching the deceased.
We only can tell male, female, so we know it's a female victim. We did the hair comparison, everything. So although we don't have a complete body, but we know those bone chips and tissues from different body part. The wood chipper is the one chopped up pieces, so we provide such a link.
In the end, investigators, under the leadership of Lee, conclude that Hella Crafts was murdered in the bedroom. Her body was ultimately cut into pieces and run through a wood chipper.
Well, when this trial came along, Henry Lee was my book of knowledge.
Crafts was found guilty of murdering his wife on November 21, 1989, and sentenced to 50 years in prison. He was released 20 years early based on good behavior. It's a first in Connecticut. A murder conviction without a body. And Lee is credited for the outcome.
Without him, we would not have had a successful prosecution. There is absolutely no question in my mind.
After that case, both prosecution and defense teams across the country seek out Dr. Henry Lee as a forensics expert. In 1991, Lee testifies for the defense when William Kennedy Smith, a nephew of President John F. Kennedy, was tried on a rape charge. Lee testified the victim did not put up a struggle. Kennedy Smith was acquitted. Then in 1994, former football star O.J. Simpson is charged with murdering his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman. Simpson's Los Angeles defense team reaches out to Dr. Henry Lee.
I have also contacted what I believe to be the finest criminologist in the United States.
Lee is considered one of the top crime scene experts in the world. His work on the Simpson murder will be another on his list of high-profile cases.
Defense attorneys argue a glove at the murder scene does not fit Simpson's hand. And Dr. Henry Lee suggests blood evidence may have been mishandled by the Los Angeles Police Department.
Only opinion I can giving under this circumstance, something wrong.
Trial observers say Lee is very persuasive with the jury during the Simpson trial. And Simpson is eventually found not guilty.
From O.J. Simpson fame, DNA expert Dr. Henry Lee and former New York City medical examiner Michael Baden were in court. Lee is reconstructing the crime scene.
Dr. Henry Lee, seen here with other forensic experts on the Peterson defense team, spent more than 2 hours examining the remains
has
of
assembled a team of high-profile experts, including Dr.
Henry Lee now involved. Developer Andrew Kissel was found bound and stabbed to death inside his
Dr. Lee says from all the cases he's assisted in, the attack on New York City has been one of the most difficult.
So Colorado investigators flew into Connecticut looking for help in cracking their case.
Saying the case is not cold but still warm, Dr. Henry Lee joined a group of Boulder investigators.
A cold case in Maine is getting another look thanks to the help of a renowned forensic scientist from
Henry
Connecticut.
Lee says he's been asked by the family of George Smith's in-laws to investigate this case.
Dr. Henry Lee may soon be involved in yet another high-profile case.
1998, a new institute emerges within the University of New Haven, the Henry C. Lee Institute of Forensic Science. Lee capitalizes on his famous cases with a TV show that airs for 2 years on Court TV.
That afternoon, when Meyer walked into the house, saw Jenna.
Trace evidence, starring as himself, reenacting crime scenes from his cases. Dr. Henry Lee continues to hold substantial leadership roles in Connecticut state government through 2010. From director of the Connecticut State Crime Lab to the Commissioner for Public Safety.
I'm excited at the possibility of working with him many more years into the future and having his leadership and guidance and service to our community.
And he continues his investigations and expert witness appearances. Eventually, a building with model crime scenes and classrooms opens in 2010.
Now Dr. Henry Lee is being honored by a forensic institute that will transform law enforcement. Law enforcement from around the world will be able to use these instruments during training sessions held at the school, as well as some UNH students.
It's a great opportunity for the students, it's a great opportunity for the professionals.
The bulk of which, Lee says, is funding by his consulting fees.
And so over the year, I probably conservatively give it to University of New Haven from the grants, contract, and lecture, and all those fees, $40 million. If I kept those money myself, I'm a millionaire. But I feel more important is to help the younger people.
By his own estimate, Lee was involved in thousands of cases.
I've been involved, assess maybe 8,000 or 10,000 cases in my career already.
But out of some of his cases, new questions arise.
Lee's credibility is called into question.
Connecticut forensic expert Dr. Henry Lee is defending his handling of evidence in the Phil Spector murder trial.
Whose possession was the last person you saw handling that item?
Dr. Lee.
Thank you.
Did you pick up a piece of evidence at the Spector house?
Yes.